Hi everybody, it's Jordan Najafi and Vonda Woodall, and we're going to be talking about creativity, masculinity, femininity, and three models of androgyny and how that all works together for creativity. So masculinity, that is that traditional set of attributes, behaviors, and roles that we associate with men or boys. Some examples would be the aggressive nature of men, how they're sometimes rigid and dominant. For women, that's that femininity, and it's those set of attributes, behaviors, and roles associated with women and girls. Sometimes we think of women as more nurturing, more sensitive, and more submissive within those psychological roles. And androgyny is that ability to draw on both feminine and masculine characteristics. And sometimes it's believed that a predisposition to psychological androgyny is essential for creativity. So you need to be able to have the psycho-emotional capacity of both a man and a woman to achieve your optimum creativity. And there was a study done with 105 undergraduate men and 85 undergraduate women looking into the relationship between androgynous mentalities and the individual's creativity.
The first model that we're going to discuss is the balance model. And with this model, the original balance model, androgyny is a state or process in which an individual's masculine and feminine tendencies are relatively balanced. One example that they gave us in the research is an architect, for example, with seriously imbalanced concerns for engineering and aesthetic details might tend to produce architecture flawed by inadequate attention to the less valued component. But a more balanced androgynous architect would presumably tend to harmonize these two concerns and thereby produce more creative work. So, looking at the evidence linking the balance model, androgyny, with personality and intellectual characteristics, they found balance model androgynous men and women to be unusually assertive, and balance model androgynous women to be unusually dominant and self-confident. And these are characteristics frequently associated with creativity. They also found that the balance model undergraduate women plan to have fewer children, place greater emphasis on being competent in their work, and have higher educational aspirations than non-androgynous women did. The balance model may have intellectual advantages as well. They place themselves in and learning from cross-sex situations more readily than less androgynous individuals. The next model is the additive model of androgyny. The additive model views as androgynous only those individuals who are relatively high in both masculine and feminine characteristics. And it does not account for the low, and that's one of the things that the balance model did. In the additive model, androgynous individuals tend to be more creative. For example, various indices of creativity have been associated empirically with such masculine characteristics as autonomy. In terms of the architect example that I talked about earlier, one would presumably expect an architect with strong technical skills and strong aesthetic sensitivities to be more creative than one who is weak in either or both respects. The additive model androgyny is correlated with self-esteem, and it is also a factor associated with creativity. It suggests another link between additive model androgyny and creativity. The last model is the multiplicity model of androgyny. According to this model, increments of psychological femininity would yield larger increments of creativity among high masculine individuals than among people with low masculinity. In other words, they're looking at the contrast between masculinity and femininity. It is a stark contrast to an individual's norm, allowing for more creativity.
So, once again, the study was looking at the relationship between androgyny and creativity, so that a capability of thinking psycho-emotionally as a man and woman at the same time, and people's creativeness. There were 85 undergraduate women and 105 undergraduate men that were studied using each one of these models. The results came back with the multiplicative model being the most successful. The balance model was rejected because it was deficient. It didn't distinguish between people who had both high masculine and feminine qualities and people with low exhibition of both masculine and feminine qualities, which would tend to be unclassified rather than classified as androgynous. The additive model was kind of inconclusive in the fact that they had unexpected findings because there were stronger self-concepts for people who had high masculinity, and they attributed that to the masculine quality of confidence. So the multiplicative model received the most significant support among both sexes, and their fundamental prediction was typically correct among both sexes.
A couple of questions for thought. After reflecting on the relationship between androgyny and creativity, how have you seen this modeled in your classroom? Another question, what can educators do to encourage androgynous creativity development for students? Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day.